So Arsenal 1, Watford 0. Was that as long and boring live, Kenny, as it was watching it? Because that was tedious today. We got the job done, but
no, I think what's happened is that Watford came for a point and probably should have got it, because what's happened is that we had to fight for that win. First and foremost, I didn't see it on TV because I was at the ground, but it looked like Ben Foster made a mistake, and then Lacazette was an offside position, and poor old Saka, who hasn't scored since the Spurs game, and gets goal chalked off, and then you had a situation when Lacazette again's involved, a penalty situation, and then Ben Foster makes a great save. But apart from that, Watford came with a plan where they basically ran their hearts out. Like they made sure there was no space down the middle. So, you had players like Cooker, who was a pain in the neck, by the way. It was no surprise to anyone when he got sent off. And you had Sissoko, ex-Tottenham, running his nuts off. So, in terms of their midfield three, they picked a lot of runners. And, they were trying to rely on players like, Josh King to hold the ball up. And obviously, Ismail Sarr to run off them. But that didn't kind of materialise. And I think because there was no kind of space down the middle, Watford were more than happy to leave a bit of space down the flanks, and we just couldn't get our crosses in. And really and truly, if you look throughout the match, our better players were actually our defenders. Players like Tomiyasu had a good game today. Ben White, I think it was imperious. Gabriel, and obviously Maitland-Niles, he did a bit of a sterling job as well, where he had to try and help, Albert, to match the physicality of players like Sissoko, and Cooker, who again pain in the arse.
They were very physical today. Somebody put a comment in my watch along after the game saying that the thing that stood out for him was that how physical they were, and we stood up to that today. Whereas in previous years, we would have just rolled over. Yeah, and they were very hard in the tackles. They were milking every time they got the ball, they were milking it and falling over and play acting.
Ismail Sarr in it. Ismail Sarr was an absolute waste of time, and even in the build-up to the goal, he got basically, I don't know whether it was some sort of wrestling move, the kind of like where they both bounce off the ropes and they go and give each other a body check or something. It seemed like they'll get the oxygen out for him as well. I don't know if you saw that on TV, but to us, and I was really worried. I thought, bloody hell, this guy is like a dying swan. Only the swan, it is actually a dying, a dead swan. Until I saw his feet move, I breathed a sigh of relief. But I think it's one of those games where teams are going to raise their game against us because we're in a bit of a, how do I say it, form. People, we're not the kind of the easy touch we were first 3 games of the season, where people are going to point to the personnel, the fact that Lacazette and Aubameyang had COVID. Some certain players were coming back from injury, but I thought it was the case. We were just blatantly naive, really, in the first 3 games. But I think what our manager has done is that he's actually grown a pair, and he's actually used his common sense. The thing that me, yourself, and Jez have been talking about for a long time, about the obvious. Give Aubameyang some service, beef up the midfield, and get some athleticism. So I was speaking to quite a few people at the grounds, and they were saying, "Ken, you don't love Arsenal." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, you're always being critical of the manager, and you're critical of the players." And I said, I pointed actually to that thing behind me, that beautiful stadium. I said, well, the reason why I'm critical, because I have high standards, that this club should be challenging for the league every year because we're the third biggest club in the country. And I gave them bullet points of where we need to go. And I think today is another example of what we need to do. I've got some guys behind me. Hello, lads. So come and say hello. Come and say hello to Lee.
Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
Come on, guys. Say hello. You all right, guys?
He was good today, Maitland-Niles. He was very good today. What did you?
What's that? No, I don't do Arsenal fan TV. This is Lee Gallagher. I think they're around the corner. Right, nice to meet you guys. You had a good time today?
Yeah.
Look after yourself. Good stuff, mate.
Good lads. Maitland-Niles, he was really good today. Lacazette as well. I was shocked, but it's the same substitution every week. And I know he run his nuts off today, Lacazette, and he was the one that kind of said, "No, we ain't being bullied today." He was the physical one on the team, wasn't he? But
I But I think what it is that I think, I was talking to, some guys behind me in the ground, and one of the things we noticed is because Watford were kind of condensing the midfield, leaving no space in the middle, and inviting us to go down the flanks. I was actually saying that within, if it's still like this after 15 or 20 minutes, but I expect to see Odegaard come in, because I think he wants a player to kind of unlock the door, and I think that's one thing we were unable to do, despite the fact there was a bit of approach play. We were relying a lot of Ben White to kind of bring the ball out, because Watford was just so condensed, and I think that's what's going to be like against certain teams. And I think Newcastle are probably going to play like that as well, where teams are going to be very condensed, because they know Xhaka's not going to be playing in a team long term because of his long-term injury. So they know that, Mikel's going to try and get some sort of athleticism in the midfield and try and get some bodies over. So what they're going to do is try and match us physically, but make sure that and force us to, use Saka down the right and try and get Aubameyang and Lacazette out of those areas, and saying, right, you can't play through us. And I think that's what Watford did today. Very condensed, very robust.
What did you just said about Saka? We'll come to Smith Rowe in a minute, because he obviously scored again today, which turned out to be the winner. What did you make of Saka's performance? Because he started off pretty quick. He got the goal that was chalked off, and I genuinely didn't know he was on the pitch, mate, in the second half.
It's funny you say that, because I think towards the end of the game, people behind me in the crowd were saying or asking for Saka to be substitute, because I think he looks a bit heavy-legged and knackered. And there were times when, obviously when Watford were trying to, get themselves back in the game, there were instances, especially down the left-hand side, where I thought Saka, because he was obviously heavy-legged, he was knackered, that, Saka was, allowing Danny Rose and allowing Dennis when he was playing as well to get down that left-hand side. So a lot of people were demanding his substitution, because I think what's happening is that he starts off very well. He's kind of one of those players. He's one of those who comes alive when we're on the front foot. But without the ball, it seems like, because he's been playing as an attacking player in the last 18 months, he's kind of forgot that he was actually introduced in the side as a defender. But let's face it, when he was at left back or in any defensive situation, it was always a situation when you had experienced players trying to cover him like Xhaka. So, it's no surprise at all that off the ball, Bakayo's quite poor, and he was very poor today. And even when he did run out of gas, it was expected that maybe if anyone was to come off, maybe it was Bakayo. But the thing with Bukayo Saka is that our manager still sees him as the kind of the guy who gets us going in the front three, and he's kind of the guy who wins us matches, as he was last season. Because I think that's one of the things we were talking about last year. It was give the ball to Bukayo Saka and see if he could win us the match. And I think to a certain extent, it's now give the ball to Bukayo Saka and Smith Rowe. Yeah.
Smith Rowe scored the winner today. Lovely goal, great finish. Another one who works his nuts off.
He's unmarkable. And I think what it is that that's the benefits of having Alexander Lacazette in the football team, is that you get runners. If Aubameyang's not running off him and going those little spaces, Smith Rowe is going as well. Great example. If you look at his goal against Leicester, he's coming in a situation where he's running blindly, where a midfielder isn't following because he's worried about other players. The same thing as well. Ismail Sarr gets a bit of a body check. Watford don't play the whistle. The guy who's sniffing the danger, which is what he's added to his game, Emil, gone in there. Like I said, sat the shot, boom, low and hard and early. Keepers don't save them. So what's happening is it seems that Emil must be working on certain aspects of his game, his goal scoring, because we've been very critical of
he obviously watches the show, Kenny.
Emil and Saka. So Emil must be listening to us. I tell you, they must watch. I tell you, don't over lie, right? Arsenal Football Club watch AFTV. They watch every YouTuber who's got a bit of a name. And I think the players will watch it as well. Not that they're going to take their advice. They probably want to throw things at us as well. But I do Smith Rowe has benefited from a constructive criticism.
Spot on. Listen, we only want him to get better, mate, and that's why we want him to add
Well,
goals.
There's a World Cup next year. There's a World Cup next year. You don't want a situation where he's gonna have to do a Hudson Odoi and say no, he's too good for the under-21s. So he needs to, up his game, score a few goals, and carry on his really good form. Because next week's the under-21s. If we let him go, and then it's Anfield. But I think today, if I was to conclude, my conclusion on what I saw today, I think mentally Arsenal were thinking about games like Man United and Liverpool instead of thinking about the direct opponent, which is Watford today. Because I think the fans were definitely seeing this as a winnable game or a definite win. And I think maybe the players transported that. But you've got to realise Watford are fighting for their lives. They are going to make themselves difficult to beat. There isn't much quality up front, in terms of Josh King and, he's not like high level strikers. If he was high level striker, he didn't play for Watford.
No, spot on, Kenny. Listen, appreciate you coming on again, man. We'll do player ratings later. Get home safe.
What time are you talking about player ratings? What time are we going to do it?
About an hour or so.
All right, definitely. All right, definitely an hour, because like I said, I've got to be somewhere. I might be out of action about at 9. So
oh no, it'd be way before then, mate. Like literally,
but we do it in an hour.
Yeah, about an hour from now. I've got 4 fan cams to do.
All right, definitely an hour from now. All right, I'll find somewhere appropriate. All right, I'll speak to you later. Right,
man. Cheers.